There are moments when you look at yourself and wonder, why do these emotions keep surrounding me like this? That's when you realize you're still just human, far from achieving a perfectly serene soul. Inevitably, emotions like greed, anger, and attachment sneak in, influencing your words, actions, and even thoughts, sometimes without you even noticing. You may think you're doing your best for others. For example, when you offer someone advice with the hope of helping them improve, is it entirely free from anger or frustration? Or when you care for and love someone, is that love truly pure? Or does it carry a subtle desire to be loved in return, to be acknowledged? These seemingly harmless emotions quietly linger, subtly guiding your behavior without your awareness. We often act under the belief that we are right, convinced that negative emotions do not influence us. But if you pause for a moment and look deeply into the nature of things, you'll see that greed, anger, and attachment are like underground streams, quietly flowing through every corner of the soul. Breaking free from this cycle is no easy task. It requires immense patience, a fierce will to practice mindfulness, and a daily effort to learn how to live more consciously. But you know what? It's a journey, not a destination. And it's this journey, gradually transforming those negative emotions, that helps us grow and become stronger. Yet life feels so busy and rushed, doesn't it? We get swept up in work, daily worries, and responsibilities, rarely finding time to reflect on ourselves. Then one day, when a crisis strikes, a heated argument, a broken relationship, or an unexpected accident forces us to pause, that's when we truly take a moment to look at life and focus on what really matters. It's in those moments that all the authority, all the ego-driven facades we've built no longer mean anything. And you know what else? Adversity, as painful as it is a precious gift. It forces us to grow, to reevaluate ourselves. Some people only truly evolve when faced with challenges. If everything always went smoothly, we might fall into complacency, losing the chance to sharpen and strengthen ourselves. That's why instead of fearing difficulties, we can learn to embrace them as stepping stones to propel us further on the path to self-improvement. We are still human, with all our imperfections. Deep within, even when we think we've risen above petty emotions, greed, anger, and ignorance quietly govern us. They're not loud or ostentatious, but rather like underground streams, subtly weaving through our words, actions, and even the seemingly harmless thoughts we have. Have you ever found yourself giving someone advice with good intentions, only to catch a faint trace of irritation or frustration behind your words? Or, when you care for and love someone, can you be certain that your feelings are completely free of attachment, expectations, or a desire for something in return? These emotions often hide behind a mask of kindness, but if we truly look deeper, we'll see that they are still there, gentle yet incredibly powerful. It's not easy to live without being led by these emotions. Overcoming them is not something that happens overnight. It requires practice, persistent patience, and a mindful spirit to gradually transform ourselves. But you know, the key is to start with small steps, by recognizing and accepting our weaknesses as a way to pave the path for change. Every day, we speak countless words and take countless actions. But if we carry negative emotions within, those words and actions may inadvertently sow seeds of conflict, arguments, or unnecessary suffering. Greed, anger, and ignorance not only rob us of peace, but also create deep fractures in our relationships. Life often doesn't give us a break. Its pressures and busyness make us forget to reflect on ourselves. Only when a crisis strikes, someone we love drifts away, an unexpected accident happens, or a deal falls through, do we pause and gain the chance to truly see what is past. Those moments, though painful, offer us an opportunity to realize that what truly matters in life isn't what we own or prove, but how we endure and grow through adversity. Some people thrive under favorable conditions, but many only truly grow when faced with hardship. Challenges, failures, and even pain can act as the flames that forge us into better versions of ourselves. And perhaps this holds true for all of us, that within every adversity lies a gift of growth, if we know how to embrace it. When faced with difficulties and pressures, have you ever felt like you were cornered in a dark space where everything seemed to work against you? In those moments, the pain and frustration can feel overwhelming, and all we want is to escape, to break free from the spiral of suffering. Yet reality can be harsh. Not all pain can be avoided or erased. And in those moments, we are forced to confront it, to learn how to coexist with it. Instead of rushing to resist, perhaps you could try something different. Stay still and listen. Behind every hardship, every pain, there are quiet messages waiting for us to uncover. These trials, though painful, are opportunities to reflect on ourselves, to look deep into our soul, a place we may not have had the courage to face before. Did you know? Psychologists have found that during the most challenging times, people often grow more introspective. When everything seems to collapse, we begin to see the world and ourselves in a completely different light. Before, we might have been busy proving ourselves, showcasing our talents or power to others. But when faced with heavy emotions like depression, we withdraw, retreating into a quiet corner to contemplate. At this point, old wounds and long-forgotten memories resurface, as if reminding us that they are still there, waiting to be healed. I'm reminded of a familiar song lyric. Each day I choose a little joy. Each day I choose to sit in stillness, to truly see my homeland. These words gently remind us that before reaching out to help others, we must first take care of ourselves. It's not just a choice, but an art of living, a way to maintain balance, to listen to our soul, to slow down and truly feel life. In that peace, we sometimes realize that what we eat, see, and hear also profoundly influences our emotions and thoughts. Modern science has shown that diet affects not only physical health, but also mental well-being. I recall a story from England, where researchers discovered that consuming poor quality food could lead to negative emotions, such as irritability or frustration. This explains why many people today view food choices as a way to care for their mental health, not just their body. But food is not the only factor. What we see, hear, and feel from our surroundings also nourishes or harms our mood. A sad movie or a nostalgic song can stir up dormant emotions, pulling us back into unwanted memories. That's why mindfulness isn't just about what we eat. It's also about how we choose to nurture our mind every day. Hardships can be valuable lessons if we know how to perceive them. And on this journey, remember that caring for your soul is just as important as caring for your body. Only when the soul is at peace can we face life's challenges with greater strength and depth. Have you ever thought that what you watch, listen to, or engage in are like spiritual meals nourishing your mind? Just as unhealthy food can harm the body, watching action or horror movies or playing violent games can plant negative seeds in the soul. Yet amid the whirlwind of life, we often fail to notice this. It's easy to get caught up in fleeting emotions and forget mindfulness. Forget to observe whether what we are consuming is truly good for our minds. That's why self-reflection is so crucial. When we pause and take a moment to calm ourselves, we begin to notice the subtle effects of our actions, words, and even thoughts. Sadly, the consequences often only become apparent when they have already hurt others, and by the time we realize it, it might feel too late. But is it really too late? Or is it the moment to learn, to make amends, and to grow? Have you heard of the butterfly effect? A seemingly small action, like the flap of a butterfly's wings in Brazil, can lead to a storm in New York. Similarly, every word, every action we take carries a certain energy, and that energy can profoundly impact those around us, even future generations. What we do today doesn't just stop at the present, it lays the foundation for the future of our children and grandchildren. This brings a heavy responsibility, but also a great opportunity to create positive value. A single kind word or thoughtful gesture can ease someone's pain or bring joy to those we love. Conversely, a negative thought or careless remark, no matter how small, can leave lasting scars. So sometimes, give yourself a moment of stillness. It doesn't have to be long, just a few minutes a day to sit quietly and face yourself. Ask, what did I do today? Did my words hurt someone, or did they bring joy to anyone? These simple questions can help us become more aware of our actions, ensuring each day is not just a string of meaningless moments, but steps toward a better life. And even when emotions like greed, anger, or attachment still exist, we can learn to recognize and manage them. This awareness isn't about striving for perfection, but about living more fully each day, minimizing harm, and spreading positive energy. The world is an intricate web of connections. The energy you create, no matter how small, impacts those around you. So why not start today by choosing beautiful thoughts, words, and actions? As each day passes, when you look back and see that you've lived better than yesterday, that's when you're building a more harmonious and meaningful life. Have you ever felt that in the rush of life, you easily lose sight of yourself? We dive into work, relationships, and external goals, only to suddenly realize that our soul feels heavy, lacking the peace it once had. That's why managing greed, anger, and delusion daily is so important. It's not just a way to regain serenity, but also a way to care for your soul and understand yourself more deeply. Self-reflection isn't merely about uttering an apology when you've hurt someone. It's a journey of returning to yourself, understanding the flaws in your thoughts, words, and actions. Only by recognizing these mistakes can we begin the process of correction and growth. I remember a time during a trip when I had to hitchhike to get around. Sometimes I was helped, but there were also long hours of waiting in vain. Honestly, there was a moment when I considered fabricating a story to get a ride, but then I realized it wouldn't align with my true nature. That moment taught me an important lesson. Sometimes our fears or desires can lead us to deceive ourselves if we don't pause to truly look into our minds. We often get stuck in the past, drowning in unhappy memories or regretting old mistakes. But the past isn't a place to live in forever. Repentance isn't about changing what has already happened. It's about helping us recognize and learn from it. More importantly, it's about not letting the past hold us back, so we don't forget the power of the present, the only place where real change can happen. Imagine if every small action we take carried the power of the butterfly effect, a gentle flutter that could spark a storm far away. This concept applies not only to physical impacts, but also to the energy we bring into our words and thoughts. A cold glance, a careless remark, no matter how small, can sow seeds of pain. But on the other hand, a smile or a sincere word of encouragement can spread joy to someone's heart. Most importantly, try to see others through the lens of the present moment. They, like you, are no longer the person they were yesterday. They have changed, grown, and sometimes they're trying harder than you think. Clinging to old prejudices or memories of their past mistakes isn't just unfair to them. It's also a way of keeping yourself trapped in the past. Look at others with an open heart, with compassion, and the belief that they can be better. When you extend that trust to them, you also create an opportunity for yourself, an opportunity to live more harmoniously, and to realize that life, despite its many mistakes, is always a beautiful journey of learning and growth. Have you ever felt that by viewing others through the lens of prejudice, you're essentially shutting the door on their opportunity to change? Sometimes it's our judgmental gaze or lack of trust that becomes the biggest barrier, preventing them from moving past their mistakes. But remember, the mind is impermanent. This means not only will suffering and troubles pass, but the person we or they were yesterday is no longer the same today. This impermanence is a reason for hope. Hope that every mistake can be corrected and every soul has the chance to be purified. When our mind lets go of negative emotions like greed, anger, and ignorance, we're no longer the same person. And when we truly live with a present, clear, and calm mind, past mistakes lose their power to imprison us or anyone else. We must understand one truth. While the past cannot be changed, the mind can. This applies not only to ourselves, but to everyone around us. People can change, even if the consequences of their past actions remain. What's extraordinary is that when the mind transforms, so does their way of facing those consequences, with calm, responsibility, and a genuine desire to make things right. All mistakes originate in the mind. But when the mind becomes pure, we no longer feel the need to hide or justify our errors. Instead, we find the courage to face them, and through that, we experience a sense of relief and freedom. Acknowledging our mistakes isn't about bowing in defeat or begging for forgiveness. It's a journey back to ourselves, a statement that we're striving to become a better version of who we are. But admitting mistakes without genuine action is nothing more than empty words. True change requires determination, a willingness to break old habits, and the bravery to look at ourselves with honesty. It's the moment we set a meaningful milestone, marking the beginning of transformation, to live in alignment with the authentic values of our soul. When you face mistakes, remember they are merely clouds temporarily obscuring your innate goodness. Similarly, when looking at others, understand that their wrongdoings are not the entirety of who they are, but the result of a specific state of mind or circumstance. Often, a hurtful word or wrongful act is simply an echo of unhealed pain or a fragile, wounded soul. So instead of just judging what others have done, try to look deeper into their story. Understand that even in the gravest mistakes, there's always a seed of goodness waiting to be nurtured. When you view others with compassion, you not only help them change, but also free yourself from the burdens of judgment and prejudice.